Let's take a moment now and walk our viewers through the charges against BBC at the moment. Charge number one, we've got inside track, deliberate non-compliance with tax rules. That's charge number one. Let's bring you charge number two, diversion of profits. That's the other charge against the BBC. Repeatedly flouting tax laws. Charge number three. Charge number four, manipulation for tax advantages. So questions arising on whether they manipulated their books or not. Diverting significant amount of profits. That is the other charge. We're getting you all the latest because this is what the government sources are indicating at the moment to India Today in terms of all the charges against the British Broadcasting Network. Our reporters still continue to be with us. Milan and Divyesh getting us the inside track of these IT searches at the moment. First up, let's go to Milan. Milan, could we get a little bit of political perspective on this? What do the opposition parties say? How does the BJP respond? Because there's also another angle of politics that is going on with the political bickering around this raid.
Well, Chedi, when we talk about the political perspective of this entire search operation today, we must take into account the fact that the BBC documentary that was made on the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's role in the 2002 Gujarat riots was not allowed to be aired in India. It was a documentary made by their British office from London and released all over the world. But the Indian government did not allow the documentary to be aired in India, calling it absolutely fictitious and calling it a propaganda and an agenda of the BBC from the London office. Of course, what sources have told us, Chetty, is that the India office of the BBC per se has nothing to do with the BBC office's documentary making in London. But of course, that created an entire political agenda, and therefore many universities that tried to screen this BBC documentary were also not allowed. Many links on YouTube and other online systems were also removed by the Indian government. Of course, opposition currently in a political sense is questioning the timing of these searches. Because the BBC was sent notices earlier, as being informed by the IT officials through sources, has the BBC responded to these notices is the first question. If they have not responded to these notices, the second thing is that whether or not officials from the BBC were called by the IT department to come in for questioning is another angle that can be explored by my colleague Munish, who covers the agencies for us as well. But here the matter remains that search is happening this morning. The opposition blazing guns that first the BBC documentary was not allowed to be aired, then the Adani row, the JPC was not formed, and the Congress party, they're saying that now the BBC offices in India, especially in Delhi, Mumbai, being searched is another form of targeting against the media, and that is what the BJP has clarified, that this has nothing to do with what the opposition is playing a blame game on. But of course, the timing, Chetty, is very crucial, the timing of the searches, and which is why we are yet to see the IT department bring in a formal statement, bring in what evidences that they are looking for. We know that phones are being searched. We know that electronic devices within the organizations are being searched. We've also been told that the finance department is being questioned because they are talking about tax advantages, price transfer misappropriation, fund misappropriation, as well as tax advantages if they were given to the subsidiary companies, and also the China funding angle. All of that will form the crux of the searches of the IT department at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see, Chetty, till evening if they are able to...
While you give us that political perspective, I'm also going to go across to Divyesh in moments from now, but as Milan was explaining, a political war of words is playing out as the IT department is conducting searches at BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai. The opposition has hit out at the centre for trying to muzzle free speech, alleging that the British broadcaster is being hounded for its documentary on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The BJP has branded BBC as Brushed Bakwas Corporation, claiming that it has spewed venom against India, defending the IT searches. The BJP says that the agencies are just doing their job. We'll get you those reactions in terms of what the BJP has to say as far as the BBC is concerned, and also what the opposition parties have to say. Listen into the reactions coming in.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहाँ सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि।
BBC कि अगर कृत्य देखें, जिसके उदाहरण मैं आपके समक्ष अभी पेश करूंगा, तो ये पूरे विश्व की सबसे भ्रष्ट बकवास कॉरपोरेशन हो गई है। और दुख की बात यह है कि बीबीसी का प्रोपेगेंडा और कांग्रेस का एजेंडा एक साथ मेल खाता है।
प्रेस की अभिव्यक्ति की स्वतंत्रता, जो लोकतंत्र की आत्मा है, मोदी सरकार को बर्दाश्त नहीं। एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री बीबीसी ने बनाई है मोदी जी के बारे में। भरपूर कोशिश की सरकार ने कि उसका प्रदर्शन न होने दे। मोदी सरकार ने आज सुबह से, कल जैसे ही खत्म हुई संसद, आयकर के छापे पड़ना शुरू हो गए।
श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व वाली सरकार है। यहां पे कोई भी एजेंसी हो, आईटी हो, इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट, चाहे जांच एजेंसियां हो, ये वो पिंजरे का तोता नहीं रही हैं जो सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार को फटकार लगाई थी। ये अपना काम कर रही हैं।
Well, it's not surprising. It's a typical approach from the BJP under Prime Minister Modi.
Okay.
That at a time when the whole country is asking for an investigation into the nexus between the Adani Group and Prime Minister Modi, here they are going after a media agency. And this only shows how India is further sliding into authoritarianism under Prime Minister Modi. The way domestic media channels, the way global media channels are being harassed, this is nothing but harassment.
BBC is a news organization. So suddenly the income tax finds irregularities in them. After they make a documentary on the Prime Minister, that's what surprises. The income tax department is not above question. During Modi's regime, IT, ED, CBI, these have all been used against political opponents. Now they're doing it against the media.
So all these raids, how far they are legitimate, they are officially done, or they are being done at the instance of some political parties for the purposes of harassing the victims. If it is a fair investigation, we have no objection about it at all. But then there has to be a perception that the high income tax department, or for that matter, ED or any such central agency, are not misusing the powers.
Ashutosh Mishra is joining us from the BBC office in Delhi. He's been tracking all these political reactions that are coming in as well. Ashutosh, we've played out several political reactions, and you know, the opposition continuously saying we want a JPC probe for Adani on one side, and the other side you've got BBC offices being raided by the IT department, questioning what is really going on, questioning the timing. Could you get us more on what the opposition is saying at the moment?
Well, Chaiti, this has totally become in a high optics and a high decibel political battle between the ruling party and the entire opposition. And of course, the timing is being questioned because, you know, the unofficial release by the income tax department, which says that there have been certain irregularities for years, and they were served notice, there was no reply, they were ignorant about it. And exactly over the years, if this was happening, then the silence of these agencies and not carrying the similar exercise in the past, and of course, much before this documentary released, and then suddenly everything is happening. And the very same day, you know, you heard Union Home Minister Amit Shah responding in an interview on the same BBC documentary question, and within 60 minutes you see the IT officials reaching the bureaus of the BBC in Delhi and Mumbai. So everything coming together, being seen in the light of what has happened very recently, and that is, you know, fueling alarm. We heard from the BBC also, they have issued a statement that we are cooperating with the investigative agency and they are hopeful that everything will be resolved soon. But the way we are seeing reactions coming from the opposition, the reactions coming from the BJP is totally blaming the BBC, or is almost fueling anti-India sentiment stories, propaganda. But in that case, the question goes that why not ban the BBC if they are indulged into, you know, defaming the India's image or engaging into anything which is totally against the law of the land? Then why not ban BBC?